Prince William's marriage to a commoner, Catherine Middleton, was dubbed a modern-day fairy tale, with emphasis on modern. From the bride's arrival by car and not carriage, to her vowing to love, not obey, to their impulse to kiss not once but twice on the palace balcony.
Honestly, it was one of those days where you feel very elated, also completely terrified, I have to be honest. The prospect of 2 billion people watching was quite daunting.
I heard there was a small intimate wedding at Westminster Abbey last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said you were as nervous as your brother at the time.
So I was massively nervous, everybody was nervous, and the whole thing was a bit of a blur, to be honest, because there was God knows how many millions or billions of eyes focused on us. Luckily, mainly those two.
Apparently, William's not the only Wales hoping to carry on the family name.
I've longed for kids since I was very, very young, so I'm waiting to find the right person, someone who's willing to take on the job.
It must have been so wonderful to see him so happy, but hard not to have your mother there.
No, of course it was. You know, I think she had the best seat in the house, probably. Yeah, she would have loved to have been there. She would have loved Kate.
When I spoke with your brother, he said even though your mom wasn't able to attend your wedding, that she had the best seat in the house.
Yeah, definitely. No, she did.
You must have missed her so much that day.
Yeah, it was very difficult. I'd sort of prepared myself beforehand so that I was sort of mentally prepared, so I didn't want any wobbling lips or anything going on. It's the one time since she died where I've thought to myself it would be fantastic if she was here, and just how sad really for her more than anything not being able to see it, because I think she'd have loved the day, and I think hopefully she'd be very proud of us both for the day, and just very sad that she's never going to get a chance to meet Kate.
Since last year's wedding, both the media and public have followed the newlyweds' every move. But now the Duchess of Cambridge can take notes from someone who knows a little something about how to be incredibly public while remaining intensely private.
The Queen, your grandmother, has never done what we're doing now. She has never sat down for an interview with a journalist. Why do you think that's the case?
Because you ask lots of questions.
Seeing the Queen at 86, it's hard to remember how young she was when her reign began in 1952. In fact, he may be the only person who can truly relate to what it was like for the Queen to take the throne in her 20s, because he's in his 20s himself, at least for 3 more weeks.
It seems as if it would have been so overwhelming. I guess you're pleased that you have a lot more prep time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've got a lot more practice now under my belt because of it. But I think the biggest thing that I've noticed was that aged 25 when she became Queen, and me being 29 and a few months now before I'm 30. It is the fact that at the time she was a woman in a man's world, stepping into what everyone thought was only a man could do. I think she really carved her own way in that sense and produced an incredible amount of courage to do the job and to step up to the plate, and she's not let herself or anyone down in the process. And there's such scrutiny on the job that I think you have to be very, very careful how you carve your path, but she's done it brilliantly.
You need to maintain an air of mystery in some ways too.
Yeah, I'm not doing a very good job at the moment.
When it comes to talking about his grandmother, the prince is only too willing to gush.
Do you remember that moment when you thought, oh my goodness, my grandmother is kind of a big deal?
I still think she's just my grandmother, really. I haven't really learnt to be, in fact, I'm probably a bit of a cheeky grandson, like my brother as well. We both take the mickey a bit too much. But I just remember always having a healthy respect for my grandmother.
To Prince Harry, she's just Granny. And now even he's seen his most famous relative in a whole new light.
When you look back on her 60 years, what most impresses you about your grandmother?
When we were young, it was very easy to take our grandmother for granted. She was just a grandmother to us. And it's only really sort of been over the last sort of 5, 8, 10 years that I've actually really learned to sort of understand and accept the huge deal that she is around the world, especially within the UK.
Do you think that the Queen's ability to change with the times has helped the monarchy endure?
Yes, without a doubt. She's managed to get the family to move with the times. And I think that's incredibly important. You can't get stuck in an old age situation when everything else around you is changing. So you have to go with it.
And now she has a YouTube page.
And all those.
She hasn't friended you on Facebook?
No, she hasn't. Why has she friended you?
No, not yet. Hopefully after this interview she will. Do you have to make an appointment to see your grandparents, or can you just pop by the palace?
It depends where she is. She's always very, very busy, and they never seem to. The grandparents never seem to be in the same place as us. If they're around and we're in close proximity, then it is always nice to pop around.
But if you wanted to, could you just say, hi, can I come over for a cup of tea?
I like to think so. I'm sure if I rang her up and said, can I come over for a cup of tea, she would hopefully turn around and say, yes, please do.